Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go!
This week's message of the week is effort and attitude. So with me I have Erin, Megan, and Garrett, and we are just going to go through real quick how they would brief effort and attitude on a given day. Erin?
Yeah. Usually how I brief this one is that effort and attitude are the two things that you can control, and are very transferable to your life outside of the gym. So on any given day, the amount of effort that you put in is up to you. And more importantly, in my mind, the attitude that you have about something shows a lot, and you can control those things.
Love it. Megan?
That's really good. I love that controlled piece of it, because the environment around us is not under our control all the time. Something I would add is that effort and attitude are both also contagious. So I think, especially from a coach's standpoint, if you walk in, well, I guess I'm not doing a good job of briefing it. I'm just talking about.
That's all right. Go for it. You're good.
We'll get there, man.
What I want you guys to know about effort and attitude is that it's contagious. And when you walk in somewhere and you just don't want to be there, and other people are able to feed off of that, and they also might feel less excited about being there. And then the same thing as effort. If you come into the gym and you decide, I'm just going to do everything halfway, people notice that as well. And that's not only in the gym, that's in life, like you were saying. If you have a negative attitude and you're only doing things halfway because you don't feel like it, people notice that and it rubs off on other people. So it's just important to keep that in mind.
Love that. Garrett?
Just to kind of add to, because they did such a good job, I think I would probably say very similar things to that. But more so, I always looked at it, and I would always kind of consider it too. Your attitude also really impacts your effort to begin with, right? They're kind of hand in hand, but one really impacts the other, right? It's kind of hard to give all of your effort when you have a really poor attitude, right? If you're feeling good or you have that positive mentality, your effort level is going to be that much higher, right? It's hard to give all of your effort when you don't. You're just in the tank, or whatever you want to call it, right? So it's all controllable by you, right? It's how you feel, how you present yourself. So the more positivity you have up here, the easier it will be out here. So
I love that. Okay, so I actually went a little deeper and went and got the definitions of effort and attitude. So we're going to start with effort. The definition is the physical or mental energy and work expended to achieve something, whether it's a difficult task, a specific goal, or collective endeavor. So the first thing I want to talk about, kind of with that definition, is how can we differentiate effort and the score you put on the board?
Effort and performance.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is often hard for people to do, because of many reasons, but I think that a lot of the time people conflate their outcome with the amount of effort that they put in. And effort is variable, right? So we talk about this a lot too, that not every day is going to be 100% intensity. Not every day is a PR day. You cannot do that. Also, there are things in your life that you can't control, injury or sleep sometimes, depending on your life. Just so many different things that affect your performance, but you can still come in and give good effort. So if you're experiencing injury and you're not hanging from a pull-up bar, you can still give good effort at a ring row or another option. So yeah, I think not conflating the two is hard for people sometimes, myself included.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's hard for me. I will come in, do a benchmark, and be like, look at my score at the end of the day. I'm beyond the whiteboard, and I literally just reminisce on how hard I felt like I pushed in the workout.
Yeah.
And then I'm but my score isn't as good as other people, and then I just get frustrated and upset because I'm just not as fit as them. And then so you can kind of go down a rabbit hole and get all sulky about the outcome and the score, but I feel like if you let that go more and more and you realize, like Aaron was saying, whether it's 80% or 100%, you gave the effort and then everything else, like the performance is just not in your control whatsoever. So you kind of have to let go of that and recognize, hey, did my best. Separating the two can be hard. I'm gonna have to think about like practically how you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, in my time, the more I've let go of my score or my outcome or my time or weight or whatever, the more I just let go of that and really like focus in on how I feel and my attitude and effort, the better I tend to perform. Sort of a weird
Love that.
dichotomy.
Yeah, one way that I do that too is rather than I try to create not performance, sorry. I guess like performance goals rather than outcome goals, actually. So like rather than being like, well, I want to beat my benchmark from last time, it's rather just like I'm gonna try to do an extra rep on my totem bar instead. And so then I'm like pushing myself and I can feel a win if I hit that, even if I don't beat my time.
Yeah.
I can still find wins other ways. So that's one way that I do it.
Yeah, I would agree. And one that comes to my mind is Salty Karen, wall balls and running. Kind of my wheelhouse. I'm not the fastest by any means, but like I can squat and I can run. Okay, that's like great. And I used to get really, and that's an easy one where you can easily increase or decrease your outcome by quite a lot, like minutes, depending on the day, and the temperature outside or whatever it is. And so similarly, it's like one thing that I try to look at is, oh, I held on to my wall balls for 3 rounds. I went unbroken for 3 rounds this time. Amazing. Or, you know, whatever it is, kind of setting those goals of like, I'm going to split those wall balls into 2 sets and that's it. And I might be a minute and a half slower. Sometimes that happens, but my effort was
what you wanted to be.
Yeah, what I wanted. I feel good about my effort.
Okay. Anything to add onto that, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, so it's like your effort is what it's the way you approach a workout, right? Whether that's physically and mentally, right? Your effort is tied into how you are completing the task that we're asking you to do, right? And you did a good job of touching on. It's like the best way to go through that is to not focus so much on that performance side, but also focus on how you're going through that work. Like set your little goals. Like I'm going to hold on to these many reps. Or like Karen. So Karen's a great one because personally, I always try to hold on for 30 wall balls. Like that is my goal. Like I know I've done in the past. I know I've given all my effort. If I can do that for 5 rounds, like that's the effort, right? The end result. If you look at like leaderboarding, right? So now you're looking at performance on a community base, not necessarily individual base. And comparison, we talk about that's the theft of joy, right? Try not to do that, right? It's a good measure of is my fitness gaining, right? But it should be a measure like did I do a good job or not, right? The leaderboard is meant to be there to add intensity and also to look as a measure of fitness, not a measure of effort. So your effort is solely just how do I feel after that workout? How did I do during that workout? Did I complete those goals that I wanted to go and set out to do, right? And not just go like, man, I'm just gonna pick up the wall ball, put it down when I'm tired, right?
Yeah.
Like there could be more to it, right? So
Absolutely, I love that. Another thing you guys kind of touched on, actually the next 2 things you've already touched on, but I kind of want to go a little bit deeper. Our effort varies day to day. How, I guess, for some people, it might be like, yes, your effort varies day to day, but how do you distinguish that from maybe feeling like you're just making an excuse?
Oh. I really like this topic because I think, especially in sort of like a health and fitness capacity, it's really easy to slip into kind of like toxic positivity where like show up 5 times a week and have the best attitude ever. And like, this is the best part of your day. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's not, right? Like this is one part of our lives. With the exception of, it's like your career, people's full-time career, but most members, it's like, this is one part of my life. And I have 50 million things going on with work and kids and family and school and grief and all of the things that happen in life. And so, like, sometimes walking into the gym is the effort, right? Like, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna be there and I'm like just gonna get through the thing. And sometimes that's the effort. Whereas, you know, I think excuses kind of come into the attitude piece of like, well, I can't go today because of X, Y, and Z. Or like, it's that one's a hard one for me to like articulate.
If you think about it, CrossFit, any gym routine is as much mental as it is physical. And so I think I don't know many people who are 100% ecstatic to go to the gym and be in pain and get like every single day. That's just not.
Yeah, but you're 5 a.m. man. Those people are jazzed every day. 5 a.m.
Not realistic. I think that what you were saying about the attitude, I think it becomes excuses when you're doing that every single day. Because I think that once in a while, if you're like, I don't want to go to the gym today, like that's so normal, and you still show up because you know what the gym does for you, and so you win the mental battle that day. And you don't feel great in class, and maybe you take note of that, like I just really struggled today, blah blah blah. But then if you start to let that become a habit, like that's also I think when it bumps into the excuse lane, because you know everybody has stuff, and I think that it's still possible to push through those things and come in here and try and have a positive attitude about it. So it's that difference between like having grace in the times that are hard, but then when things are good, pushing and having a positive attitude about it and not letting those days and that like negativity become a habit.
I think for me, like an excuse usually is rooted in a framework of I can't, period. And there's no explanation or exploration of that, and no willingness to see a different outcome or to like to approach something differently, right? So it's like you can have an injury and say, oh, like I can't squat right now because of this limitation. However, one of my goals is to like work that back in rather than just saying I can't and like no.
Or you can't come to the gym in general.
Yeah, I like that. Gary, do you have anything to add into that?
This is tough because I'm kind of like in and out all the time now. So most of the time, like when I'm missing the gym, it's because I'm trying to make time for other fitness type things. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm trying to give myself, like you said, grace to be like, hey, I'm not coming to the gym because I want to sleep so I can go mountain bike after work, or so I can go ski in the morning, or that's where like a lot of my changes are coming in type deal. I'm just trying to figure out like, is it the can't mentality? Like I can't go because I want to do this, or it's like I am trying to be conscious of like I don't want to overexert myself to the point where I'm going to hurt myself because now I'm getting into an older age where recovery is not as quickly as it used to be. So, which you know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of members can result to that. So it's interesting that I've never thought of it that way as far as like using excuses because you know that I miss a lot more days than I used to. So I'm just trying to figure that out.
And it's a hard topic because it's not necessarily like numbers based, right? It's kind of relative to everybody. But I feel like sometimes, like for me at least, like I'm like, oh, like that workout was really hard and I didn't put in very much effort because I'm just like really tired today, or like something like that. And it's just like trying to like, or I actually didn't put an effort because I feel like absolute crap, but then later I'm like, oh, that feels like an excuse. Right? And so it's just kind of like trying to find the balance of both. And I don't think that there's an answer, right? I think it's really, really hard.
I will say there are like some days where I look at like what are actually my goals, right? So my goal, like we talked about this or previously, was 3 days a week. I'm trying to get back on that 3 days a week train, at least that, right? So I'm looking at, okay, what 3 days a week work best for what it's going to help me move my needle forward, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if Tuesday we are gonna back squat and I'm already back squatting 3 days this week at home, it's like I'm not gonna come Tuesday. I'm gonna use that time to sleep and try to recover a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I could pick another day throughout the week so that my mental state doesn't get overexerted of trying to make it all these different days and coaching and
Yeah.
going to work. Like, so
Yeah.
I will say that does play an account as to like where are my goals at? How are the classes set up that way for those types of things?
Yeah. And I think getting really clear on what this means to you, right? Are you someone who is interested in competing? The way that you look at effort is going to be very different than someone who uses CrossFit as a general physical preparedness plan, right? And I'm in the same boat as you, Garrett, where it's like I use CrossFit as a way to be better at other things that I enjoy doing. And I only have so much time in my day, right? Like if I want to bike, if I want to, hike, if I want to run and like do these other things that also bring me joy, I have to kind of pick and choose when and where I can spend my time. And sometimes that looks like 3 days a week. Sometimes that looks like 4 or 5 days a week, just depending. And I don't think that, choosing to use your fitness is like an excuse as why you're not coming.
Agreed.
But it's just where are your goals? Where do your goals lie? And how are you aligning with that?
Yeah.
And maybe that's like like an excuse would be like, okay, well, you have this goal and your actions aren't aligning with getting you to the goal and you're coming up with justifications as to why.
Right.
So do we need to look at maybe changing your goals? Do we need to look at like, there's a lot of ways you can approach that, but if you're just going to sit back, it's again the like I can't without any like exploration as to like why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, effort, is a lot of times what happens is we get into the comparison game, right? And you put in a huge effort, and you did touch on this. You put in this really good effort, but you find it nearly impossible to be proud of yourself because that effort is not as good as everybody else's effort. Talk a little bit more on that. That type of mindset, how we can look at it differently or kind of help ourselves work through that.
I used to get most people, and we'll just use like Salty Karen. I'll use that as an example. I used to get like so frustrated when I would, and inevitably it happens, but when you like don't get faster or you don't even match your time, or maybe you added on 2.5 minutes to your time. But
the best of us.
yeah, right. And I used to like kind of throw tantrums, not tantrums, but I would get just like so frustrated and just like I needed people to know that I was frustrated kind of. So I would like be all haughty and like take a walk outside and just like, whatever. And now I think I've kind of shifted into like, I almost like I won't say like, but I've gained an appreciation for days and times in which I don't perform as well as I maybe once did, because it gives me the opportunity to look at these exact things where it's like, okay, well, like I wasn't as fast as I was in May. Well, how did I perform? It kind of like forces me to like think about what did I do well? Like, where did I struggle? And just being much more objective about kind of like what's going on, like maybe I haven't been consistent, or maybe I'm recovering from an injury, or maybe I had a little too much fun this weekend. And like never, especially not with Gary and Emily. But like it kind of forces you to look at like what's going on within you. It's like, okay, well, why am I so upset? And it's just an opportunity for you to like self-reflect.
Love that.
Yeah. And I do always try to find something that I did well. It's like, oh, well, actually, like, my first 3 rounds went faster than I thought that they would.
Mhm.
Or I like felt good on the run, even if maybe I wasn't as fast, like my body felt good. So it like forces some introspection. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, no, that was great. Anything you guys would like to add to that?
There you go. I would say majority of the time now, at least more than recently, at least in this season of my CrossFit career, if I'm giving good effort, it doesn't really matter at the end result. It just, I'm in here, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna, like I said, make my mini goals. Like 5K came up. I usually don't run the 5K anymore because it hurts so much afterwards that. But every time I run, I'm gonna run the whole time. All I want to do is just maintain running the entire time because I know I can run 5K without stopping. So that's what I do. Come in, I think this year or this week or this last time, I think I was like a minute and a half slower than the last time. I was like, okay, I ran the whole time. That's all I wanted to do, right? Because comparing yourself to other results and those types of things, it can be very, very detrimental to yourself. It's just not good to do, right? Now, I mean, there's cases where you look at like competitive athletes and you're trying to figure out how to get to that next level, and you have to kind of be comparing yourself there. But really, you should be taking yourself, where was I before? Where am I now? And how do I make those subtle corrections? Like that's the comparison we should be, especially if you're trying to go in for that performance, right? If you're here for lifestyle, give that good effort. Be happy that you're in here. You got your heart rate up. You got a little sweaty. Trying to have fun. If I'm having fun during the workout, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I'm just like we did. Was that Salty Amanda? Was that 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't even going to do ring muscle ups, and me and Ricky were talking back and forth. I did ring muscle ups. I used to be able to string them together. Now I can only do them one at a time, and I did that whole workout one at a time. And it was great. And me and Ricky were having a great time. It was awesome.
Good.
I think I was like 2 reps shy of what my old one was. So I was like, that's fun. So it's just. I more so look at it, it's like, am I having fun? Am I giving the effort that I want? Other than that, the results are the results,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's a relational piece to it. And I hate to admit this because I feel like I'm confessing here, but I feel like there's got to be people in the audience who feel this way too. Where, okay, so I grew up cheerleading, competitive. Your opponents, like when you walk in, everyone's got their warm ups on, and you're like, that's the enemy. But not actually, but I feel like people who are better than me at anything, or like I feel like they might be better than me, I get intimidated by. And I like shrink. And then causes bitterness towards people that I really care about too. Like I'll find myself in the gym and someone beats me, and then I'm like pissed off at them for beating me. And I'm like, I know I just have a competitive attitude, and I know that I have this issue with wanting to win everything, and that's not okay. And so the way that I've had to push through that is just by like separating. If people get a better score than me in a workout, it's okay. And the only way I've been able to overcome that is just by getting to know people. Like if I'm intimidated by someone, pushing through that and just deciding like I want to get to know them, and that causes my love for them to grow. And then when they do beat me in things, I can celebrate their successes because I'm happy for them and I love them, rather than like this person that I've distanced myself from because I'm mad that they beat me in CrossFit. Like, how stupid is that? How stupid is that? But yeah, it's just like, I don't know if other people go through that too, but that is something that I've struggled with in the past. And the way I've pushed through it is just by like getting to know people and loving them and like celebrating them rather than like being upset for myself and being a victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's, good insight because it's like we're all human, right? And like we all have these like tendencies and like maybe secret rivalries of people that are like kind of in your same like level, and you're like, oh well, at least
as long as I beat them,
it's like I squatted more than so and so, which like is a very normal thing. And I think there is a way in which competition can be healthy if it's something that's motivating you and not like bringing you or others down, which again like just ties back into attitude and how you decide to frame things. But it's like it's not just like a disposition, it's something that you have to work on
Yeah.
and like practice and catch yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Why? What am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like,
Love that. Okay, now we're going to transition to attitude. So the definition I have for attitude is a person's relatively enduring mental and emotional evaluation or way of thinking about a person, an object, idea, or situation, which is typically positive or negative and influences behaviors and actions. So we're going to kind of go off that definition, and then we're going to go off some pinpoints here. So one thing I really liked about that is thoughts turn to words, words turn to behaviors. So when you find yourself in a negative rut, how can you change your framework and your mind so that your words don't become negative and your actions don't become negative?
The first thing that I think of is that joy is a choice. It's not necessarily a feeling or an emotion. And for me, what that looks like for me, I come from a religious background. So it's like I find joy in the Lord, and that's what like sustains me every day. For other people, it might be something different, but it's like when you're in a negative rut, you have to choose the things that will bring you up out of it, out of discipline, even if you don't feel like it or don't feel like you have the capability to do that. And then it trickles into everything else. So if I wake up and I'm like, I feel like crap today and I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to go because all my favorite people are going to be there and I'm going to show up and I'm going to try my very best to choose joy and then move forward in that. And sometimes you can't pull that just from yourself. Like you have to rely on, like I said, for me, it's my faith. For other people, it might be cooking a meal that you love, calling a friend, just saying, hey, I'm having a tough time, like, and then pulling from that and just letting it kind of guide your mindset the rest of the day.
I like that. Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I would say for me, I'm a pretty positive guy to begin with. I'm usually a pretty like a cup half full type guy. You know, I don't really go into a really negative headspace that often. It does happen more so out of frustrations in life, not necessarily in here, just out of the gym. Those are the types of things that like I need to like take a step back, breathe through it a little bit, try to flip my perspective on whatever's frustrating me. If it's a conflict with a specific person, it's like, okay, what's their point of view from this situation? Like, is there something that I'm missing? I need to take away from this, those types of things. Time has always like been a very good factor for me, is just give things time. Right. It's okay to be frustrated, angry, upset, those types of things. And it's just like, hey, let it out, let it go, and then just move on to those next things. So, but most of the time I'm like, it's water off my back most of the time. So I'm just kind of.
There's just the positive.
What's that
thing.
like?
I don't know. It's just
like?
yeah.
I feel like too coming in here, like cling onto your friends, like use your friends. That's one of the greatest things about here is our community. And like personally, when I'm having a bad day and someone's like, "What's wrong?" and I'm just like, "Whatever," like I don't want to talk about it. It doesn't help. But sometimes Aaron's like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what's your day been like?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done this and this and this and this and this and whatever, and like this is making me so mad. And then I'll be like, honestly, don't respond to me because I feel better. Like I'm actually better now that I've gotten it off my chest.
Yeah,
so like
for
if you
sure.
need to talking with your friends in here, like coming in here and like trying to like leave it out the door, but also know that your friends are here to support you.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the best things about this place.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, we like see it again and again, right? Like at its surface, it's like, okay, we come in here and we like work out for an hour a day and you kind of get to know your 4 p.m., 5 p.m. people or whatever. But over the years of being here, you really do see each other through like so much of life, right? Whether it's like grief, like losing someone, or divorce, or your car gets stolen, or like these are all real things that people in this community have experienced that we've like seen each other through, and yeah, so it is a very stable and like kind of can be a pillar, a very like consistent pillar in your life if you let it. to kind of circle back, my thoughts on like thoughts become words and words become actions. I actually kind of flip that sometimes where, because like if we look at like the neuroscience behind thoughts and thought patterns, your thoughts are not always like controllable, right? Like sometimes, you know, sometimes thoughts just like kind of go through your mind and you're kind of like, like, wait, do I actually feel that way?
What's happening in
Wait a
there?
minute. And they're like, yeah, they're like not all that significant. Like sometimes like thoughts just sort of like come and go, and then you start to develop like neurological patterns, right, in your thought process. And so if you tend to be someone whose mind jumps to like the negative of like, and you know, I think we all maybe have been that way or are that way, where it's like, well, like I'm just never gonna be fast enough, or I'm never gonna be this, or I'm never gonna. It's really hard to break that just by trying to concentrate on your thoughts. So what you can concentrate on are your words, and if you can change your words, even if it feels fake, then your thoughts will start to reflect that.
And I would
that's
say
kind
the
of something-
same with actions too.
Yeah. And so like
Right.
that's something like you and I talked about, where it's like, you know, sometimes you have to force yourself to say things in a new and different way, and you don't believe it and it doesn't feel true. But if you keep doing that, then your mind will change, your thoughts will change.
Yeah.
So, you know, like as a coach taking scores, you get it a lot where people come up and they're like, well, I only did 3 + 7. And I will force people, like, I'm like, nope, try again. Like, you did 3 + 7, that's great. Or like try to force them to like say things in a different way, because I know that like thoughts don't just change magically.
Have you ever heard that thing too, where it's like if you're having a bad day, just smile, and like that like literally changes your like neural pathways.
Yeah.
So like, and first off, you're like smiling, so you're like, I look like an idiot, but then you're like kind of giggling,
Yeah.
and you're like, this is funny, like
Yeah.
whatever, or like if you're in a bad mood, like turn on some music and sing, and like that can help change your attitude as well. Like, so I like that. Like actions can become words, and that can become thoughts, right? Like, so it can also go the other way. So I really like that. It's good. Any thoughts? Any more thoughts on that one? Okay. Last little tidbit that we're gonna go through. How can we use obstacles and reframe that as opportunities to learn?
That's a great question.
For instance, I'll give a little story or a little like example. Someone has been working on a bar muscle up for months and they just cannot get it. And they're just like, I hate bar muscle ups now. They're so hard. I'm never going to be able to do this, rather than maybe using this as an opportunity to learn.
Well, I mean, you can always reframe that from what she says. Change your words. I'm never going to be able to do it yet, right? It's
Yeah.
you adding
You
the
can't
yet
do
into
it
that,
yet.
right? I can't do it yet, right? It's not that I can't do it. I just can't do it right now, right? And it's like, hey,
I love
it's possible I can do this in the future, right? As long as I keep pushing forward, right? Really great opportunity there for people to take that away. So the yet and a half, right? Versus the can't and the, what is it? No, the yet and the get versus the can't and the have. I have to do this versus I get to do this. You know,
Yeah.
those are always when you talked about reframing, it's always a takeaway I've always used during this brief as well, is you don't have to do these things, you get to do these things. It's not, you can't do it, it's you can't do it yet. Right. So
I think part of what an obstacle is fear. Like, you have this mountain in front of you that is the obstacle, and you're like, holy cow, this is intimidating, this feels unattainable. And because like it took me forever to get bar muscle ups and ring muscle ups, and I would feel like a small sense of anxiety, like jumping up to the bar or jumping up to the rings. And my words to that is just jump, because the more you jump, the more you just get reps where you're conquering that fear over and over and over again. The obstacle becomes that opportunity because you're inching your way up the mountain. Every time you say yes, every time you just jump, every time you conquer the fear, even if it's so little, like you can't see the whole staircase. And so if you take that obstacle and you see it as, okay, I'm going to take this one step at a time and I'm just going to conquer each step along the way, you'll reach the top. And that could be a lifelong journey, but it's just like finding joy in that journey rather than just being so anticipatory of the outcome and impatient. Like, I think that's where it becomes opportunity.
Yeah, and it's a really big thing, like enjoying the process. Like, it's super cool. It's kind of funny because you're like, have this goal, and you are just like working hard and hard and hard to like get to this goal, and then you get to the goal and you're like,
Now what?
cool.
Yeah.
Now what? Whereas like this process you went to get to that goal is really where like the fun is, and the excitement and like the joy. Like that's why we have a goal, is so that we can go through those joys in that process of getting there. And then once you hit that goal, you're like, great, awesome, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? Because people maybe not realizing it as much, like people do love the process, even though it can be grueling, it can be hard, but like that's where the fun is, I think. So any other thoughts on that?
I mean, really, like obstacle versus opportunity again is like a framing, right? It's like something that is in your control is how you frame things and the meaning that you make out of it. And again, I mean, I don't want to like kick a dead horse, but the reason that I like doing what I do in coaching is to help people outside of the gym. I do love helping people in the gym as a mechanism for helping them do the things outside of the gym and like see things in themselves that maybe they didn't before. And so again, it's like this is something that's in your control, right? Like you've had 3 MCL, ACL surgeries. Okay, yeah, like that's going to affect the way that you move and the things that you can do. However, the way that you look at that, like that is in your control. And so again, it's the same thing of like obstacle versus opportunity. How are you talking about it? What are the words that you're saying about it? How do you think about it? Right? And then what actions are you taking to like overcome that? Bar muscle ups are a hilarious example because I cannot do them yet. And I don't put the effort in to be able to do them. And so it's like I could see it as this huge, like any gymnastics workout. I'm like, yeah, it's not really my strength. And I have a lot to learn there. I have a lot of work that I can do there. And so yeah, it's just kind of how you choose to talk about it and how you choose to see it.
I love that.
I'd say one thing to add to that, which we haven't really, I guess, talked on a little bit, but like any type of obstacle allows you to practice a little bit of vulnerability, right? It gives you a chance to stumble, to fail, right? And they're really not necessarily, it's not necessarily should be considered a failure, but they're lessons, right? Yeah. Every time you don't succeed at something is a lesson on now how not to do it. You move forward from that, right? If you don't learn from it, then that's when it becomes a failure, right? But you have to allow yourself that vulnerability to stumble, to fall, to do these things, right? Every ski season, I go through the same activities when I'm trying to ski something more challenging and difficult, right? I have to allow myself to fall, tumble, make a fool of myself. But it's like, hey,
It's humbling.
if you're not falling, you're not trying, right? That type of thing.
Right.
So,
That's good.
Right.
I'm trying not to learn that many lessons this year, not biking, but
Oh yeah.
because those falls are a little bit
Yeah,
more
yeah.
detrimental. But I learned to get knee pads, and I have knee pads. Now,
Very
so.
nice.
So, but it's obstacles can have that ability for you to practice those types of things, right? And that vulnerability, you can use that in all other things in life, right? Allowing to put yourself out there to expose yourself a little bit. So, which I think is a really great lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, obstacles are where you grow, right? If
No.
there's no growing, then if there's no obstacles, then you're not stressing your body, and stress is what yields adaptation. So that's what we want, right?
In order to be kind of good at something, you kind of got to suck at something first. So.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Anything else on this topic? Okay, the last thing how I want to end this is Megan talked about these things being contagious. And it brought me back to my cheerleading days as well, where my coach always preached. She talked about this phenomenon that happens in the ocean where there's sharks and then there's suckerfish. And these sharks like swim in the ocean and these suckerfish follow it because that leads them to food and like safety and all those things. And so she kind of referred to it as like the shark is the leader and the other things are like trying to get what that leader's getting, right? Like feed off of them and follow in their footsteps. And some days she was like, you're going to come in here and feel like a shark. And if you're coming in here and you're not feeling like a shark, cling on to the ones that are. And that like always really stuck with me, is because I do like to think of myself as a leader and a shark and like someone that radiates positivity. Can you believe that? The audacity I have. Just kidding. But and then I'm like, sometimes when I'm not feeling like a shark, I have to find the people that are, because then it can get me back to where I want to be, right? Back to those positive thoughts and back to feeling good, and back, like, that's why I love being here so much, because this place makes me feel like a shark. And so that's just kind of where I want to end with that, is if you're not feeling like you're having a good effort or a good attitude, find the people that are and cling on to that and let it be contagious. But
I drop.
hey.